Coming up on AIN TV, the big stories we'll be following at this year's Heli Expo, the surprising number of exhibitors here this year, and which segments of the industry are actually doing well in the current recession. AIN TV begins in just 30 seconds. Welcome to AIN TV. I'm David Lombardo, webcasting from the Eurocopter exhibit at Heli Expo 2009. With America still struggling to turn the tide of bad economic news, you might imagine the Heli Expo show here in Anaheim, California would be opening under a dark cloud. But early indicators suggest the helicopter industry is still very much alive and kicking and has plenty to say for itself. The number of exhibitors at this year's show is up more than 3% over last year. According to HAI, there are 584 companies exhibiting on the show floor. Net exhibition space has also increased slightly over 2% last year. There are 64 aircraft on display as well as 2 mock-ups. We asked Mark Huber, who covers the helicopter beat for Aviation International News, what issues will have the biggest impact on this industry.
Well, in the United States market, obviously healthcare reform is going to be huge because half of all EMS helicopter transports are paid for by the federal government. The other thing is they're tightening restrictions on the EMS market right now, and offshore companies are deferring some deliveries of new helicopters. So it's just a question of how long it takes for all that to shake out.
We also asked Steve Pope, who edits AIN's daily HAI Convention News Edition, what the big stories will be during this year's show.
I'm not sure that this will be the newsiest show that we've seen. Obviously, the news right now is the economy. Corporate buying activity has all but stopped. Offshore oil, it's very hard. You know, with oil below $40 a barrel, they're having to defer deliveries. But helicopters like this Los Angeles Fire Department AW139, they're still selling. Police, EMS, those markets are helping to buoy the industry. So I think the mood of the show is it's hopeful.
Steve was right on the mark in his assessment of sales prospects for the AW139. At its eve of the show press conference, Augusta Westland announced an order from Samsung Techwin of South Korea for 2 of the medium twin helicopters. The first of these will be delivered this year, and the second will follow in 2010. Both will be used for corporate and VIP flights. The deal marks the manufacturer's first commercial sale in the Asian country. 2008 was the second best ever for Eurocopter, which is still riding high as the world's leading rotorcraft manufacturer. AIN TV editorial director Charles Alcock joins us now with a look at how Eurocopter is dealing with the changing market conditions. Charlie?
Yes, I've just had a chat with Eurocopter CEO Lutz Bertling, and he admitted to me that yes, indeed, there is going to be a decline this year in demand for helicopters, and that consequently the company isn't going to be able to continue on this extraordinary growth curve that it's had in recent years. But at the same time, what he added was that some market segments are actually holding up very well indeed. So it's quite wrong to simply look at the helicopter industry and assume that it's suffering some sort of across-the-board decline in these difficult economic times.
Some market segments orders are declining, this is correct. We see it in VIP, we see it in corporate, we see it in tourism. But other segments remain strong. Everything which is publicly funded, emergency medical services, border control, police, but even things like oil and gas. These operators have no other chance than to fly. So here the market remains relatively solid and we don't see a big decline there. Overall, yes, the situation is getting a bit more tough. We are getting a bit more in dire straits, but I would not say that the crisis has really arrived in our business.
What's more, Bertling said that the company is actually increasing its research and development spending by 40%, focusing on areas such as green technology. He made it very clear this is just the right time to be investing in the future.
Well, aren't you surprised by that, given the economic conditions today?
Well, it's certainly a clear contrast with what we're seeing in the fixed-wing business aircraft sector, where they're suffering, frankly, a very steep and comprehensive decline decline. Now, interestingly, one of Eurocopter's main competitors, Bell, at a press conference at the show today, actually said pretty much the same thing. They said, yes, indeed, there's some fallout from the financial crisis in terms of reduced demand, but at the same time, they might actually increase the number of deliveries they make this year for this very reason, that they're still having to fulfill demand from certain key market segments.
Interesting. Well, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate that. For Charlie's one-on-one interview, click on that story on our homepage at aintv.com. Sandell Avionics is unveiling its new ST3400H terrain awareness warning system for helicopters. The new safety equipment has been developed to allow operators to comply with the FAA's new C-194 technical standard order. And in other safety news, Bristow Helicopters has announced that it is to install TCAS-2 on the Sikorsky S-92 aircraft, less than a year after it introduced the first application of the traffic collision avoidance systems for a helicopter, installing the system on an AS-332 Super Puma. FLIR Systems reported that police in Costa Mesa and Newport Beach will be the launch customers for its new Ultra 9 HD airborne thermal imaging system. Here at the Heli Expo show, you can see the new equipment installed on an EC-120 helicopter. AIN TV will be webcasting from Heli Expo all week, so be sure to check the website each morning. You can also get full detailed coverage from our colleagues at HAI Convention News, published by Aviation International News. If you're at the show, be sure to pick up a copy, or visit AINonline.com for full coverage. From all of us here at AIN TV, I'm David Lombardo.